We've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. Once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about social media alternatives. And I'm going to be talking about the benefits and why you should be opening yourself up to alternatives. For one, all of the mainstream platforms are doing various analytics, but not only that, they're doing what's known as shadow banning. Really, it's all algorithmic. They want certain items, certain topics to be at the very top, and there's certain things that they want to kind of hide down below. Now, this has been the case for the last several years, and it's only gotten worse. And what they're doing is they're essentially shuffling you into a little echo chamber where you're going to find what they want you to find, but you're not going to find truly unique content. I want to introduce a couple different platforms that are open source, fully open source, that are federated. You can search locally. You can also search across all the federated servers. So for example, let's first take a look at Pixelfed, which is a nice alternative to Instagram. Now, this one is one of the newer platforms. You can simply sign up at any one of these. On this page here, which I'll leave in the description, it shows you which servers are federated together and also how many users are there. So when you search Pixelfed, for example, here, I can look at my local feed, which will just be people that are on the server that I registered on, or I can look at the global feed, and that will also show other posts from different servers. As you can see, I'm on Pixelfed.social. I actually created this account to make this video for you guys. You can also register at FediSnap, which is one of the other ones that I can see their posts as well. I can interact with them, even though they're on a whole different server. So unlike the centralized platforms and social medias, this one, you can actually interact with people, and you can create your own server if you want to. But I suggest first, just go ahead and register on a instance. That's what they call each server, a different instance. Once you do that, you can get the hang of it and see what you like about it, what you might not like about it. But I do suggest checking these things out, especially Mastodon, but Pixelfed is a great place. You can upload and share your pictures. It's a great place because it protects your privacy against all of the manipulation. Results that you search for are just what you search for in basically the order they should be. There's no manipulation of the algorithm wherein you will have certain people who might be political and you can't even read their stuff because they have been downranked through the algorithm itself. And that's the case on all the mainstream platforms right now. If you're a Facebook or Twitter user, I suggest checking out Mastodon. I registered on the Mastodon instance, but you can register on any number of instances. Essentially is a lot like Twitter. My particular profile, you can see I've actually been able to pin several posts because I thought they were helpful posts for people, such as learning PGP in 11 minutes, the Pynadio gateway image. We have the option to pin several posts if we want to. So say you want to introduce several of your favorite posts or what you think people will be interested in, you can pin more than one, unlike some of the mainstream platforms where you can only pin one at a time. If you register on any instance, any server on Mastodon, you can follow me. And, if you have enough posts where I think you're a real person and they're similar in content and topic to mine, most likely I'm going to follow you back. But, of course, I am always on the lookout for bots, and I tend not to follow accounts that look like they might be a bot. So that's one thing. Now, it's Tor friendly. That's another thing. With all the different platforms I'm introducing to you today, all of them are Tor friendly. They honestly respect your privacy. They're not going to downrank you for your posts. I'm on Mastodon, and I actually have more followers on Mastodon than I do on Twitter. And I haven't even been on as long. A lot of reach on Mastodon as well. So there's a lot of good reasons you should be on Mastodon. You can log in with Tor, no problem. Now, I got to give Twitter credit. They do have a Tor hidden service Twitter address, which you can use now. And as long as they don't force identification on user accounts, I will still say Twitter is an option. Now, if they do force identification for accounts, that's against what I believe is the moral thing, which is people in vulnerable situations may not be safe in that way. In fact, I covered this recently on Twitter, just how important it is for your identity to be protected. In fact, there are multiple recent stories as of recent that I've been meaning to cover. But apparently, the Twitter was forcing people to use 2FA SMS, which is text messaging on your cellular phone, essentially identifying those users. But not only that, they were using a third-party company. They did not know this, so I'm saying Twitter is innocent on this because there's no reason to see it otherwise. I am not going to make claims that I have no evidence of. But the third-party 2FA company they used, which was MONERO AG, a Swedish company that was actually taking full advantage of having access to all Twitter accounts and tweet accounts of their cellular phones. They were actually using this in vulnerabilities in telecom protocol signaling system known as SS7, and it was used to track and listen to calls, read texts, and track your position. So essentially, the third-party company, MONERO AG, was using their access to all Twitter accounts being forced to use 2FA in order to track down the users behind each tweet. And that's not the end of it. There's also the case that was even more recently, wherein a company, a contractor, which started as a military contractor but now does also corporate surveillance, is showing how the access a company called Signal had to Twitter Firehose data allowed them to track down each individual who made each tweet. And not only that, these are also anonymous accounts. They used app data and Twitter Firehose data access, which is a rarely provided access to actual data stream. And the industry, let's quote from the article, industry has repeatedly claimed that collecting and selling this cell phone location data doesn't violate policy because it is tied to device ID numbers instead of people's names. Now, the truth is this is not true at all. It's very easy to identify who an individual is if you know their exact location. We're talking about information that is down to a couple feet in distance. If you track someone to their own room in their home, I think you can generally tell that the person lives there. So, pretty naive if you don't. And they also talk about how foreign spies could use this kind of information for espionage and blackmail. So I also wanted to cover privacy and how mainstream platforms need to be more supportive of anonymous accounts. I think personally, sometimes what they believe are bots are providing some of the most valuable information on different topics, depending on what you're interested in open source intelligence. So Twitter is a valuable source of open source intelligence, but we're talking about a serious situation where I believe people should check out some of these alternative platforms. I'm not saying leave Twitter. I'm not saying leave Instagram if you are an influencer on there, but I am saying open yourself up to new possibilities and don't be dependent on the mainstream providers because they're not acting out completely. There's so many competing interests internal to each company. You have to understand that some people might be there to protect your privacy. Other people might be there to sell your identity. And for example, in this access to the Twitter Firehose data stream to sift through hundreds of millions of tweets per day without restriction, they were able to determine even at the Department of Defense. They used that as their example to show how powerful their tool was to determine exactly who sent certain tweets, where they sent them from, who they were with, where they've been previously, and where they went next. So very much, this is a huge story and something I thought what I would throw in the middle of this video off the cuff. So Signal Labs had willfully deceived Twitter. So you don't know, when you give up your identification in a large social media company, you really don't know if you can trust that information with that said company and your innermost thoughts and feelings on different things, knowing that today we have military contractors in psychological operations that are utilizing this data in order to run psychological operations on normal everyday people in order to manipulate trends, in order to change elections, all kinds of things. This is happening internationally, and a lot of times countries are using their allies to do the manipulation on their own citizens. In that way, they have a bit of plausible deniability about the actions being taken. So you can see how the mainstream social media companies, I don't think you should put all of your hope into them for the future. I don't know what authenticating all real humans will mean, but it could be something related to Blue Sky, which is a pretty cool thing that's coming out from Twitter, an open source federated platform where you're going to actually store your own data, and where even if a instance or server goes down, you can still keep your account. So that's a pretty interesting, unique thing they're doing. Back to Mastodon, really great platform. Highly suggest register yourself for an account, make a couple posts, follow some people, and I think you're going to like it. It's a great option. You don't have to get off of the mainstream social media platforms, but just open yourself up to new horizons. Go ahead and have alternatives. Don't be stuck on mainstream platforms that have highly manipulated algorithms that ensure that if you dare speak certain ways or speak out, for what you believe in, that your posts may become downranked. And I've had this happen to myself personally on other platforms. But, like I said, Tor friendly, Mastodon, check out an instance. Go ahead and check out this page here if you want to check out a Instagram alternative. Pixelfed is the one I'm on. It also has the most users, but as you can see, there's 76,000 users. You can follow people on other instances, other servers. So no matter where you decide to register at, on Mastodon, on Pixelfed, you're going to have the opportunity to follow people on other instances. And as you can see, pixelfed.social has 48,000 users, so that's quite a bit. And of course, I want to talk about PeerTube. I have a channel on PeerTube, one of my channels where I put my most popular videos. Of course, I have 141 videos there. If you want to support my work, you want to support my channel, I put a lot of work into this. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/politictech. You could buy me a coffee if you want, or if you could at least share my videos and articles, I'd really appreciate that. It means a lot and it helps keep me going. The page for the instances, so you can see how many different users are actually on each instance. Now, unfortunately, Odyssey is not very Tor friendly. In fact, you can't log into your account from a Tor browser. That's unfortunate. But there is the Mediator Tor hidden service for library. If you are running Tor browser and you want to watch library content, check that out. You can donate to his server here and his projects there. So of course I want to support everyone who's helping privacy community with access to content anonymously. You can always leave a comment in the video, send me an email, write to privacy@tutnoda.com. But of course, comments really help the channel, so I really appreciate those. And who knows, maybe your question will help someone in the future. And let me know what you like most on the channel, and I'll try and cover that stuff in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back later with more on how to protect your privacy.